Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. Our top focus: the Supreme Court has finally heard the case of the stray dogs once again today. In the hearing, the apex court sharply criticized multiple states for their failure to comply with the earlier orders on controlling the stray dog menace, warning that India's global image is being tarnished. From the three-judge bench, Justice Vikram Nath observed that continuous incidents of attacks by dogs are happening. Additionally, the court directed the chief secretaries of all states except West Bengal, Delhi and Telangana to appear before it. Citing non-filing of compliance affidavits, the next hearing is now scheduled on the 3rd of November to give context, however, to the viewers. Originally triggered by a fatal dog attack and rabies-related death in the Delhi NCR region, the case began in late July and August. A two-judge bench ordered the capture and permanent sheltering of all stray dogs in the region. This move was called unworkable and inhumane by animal welfare groups. Days later, a three-judge bench expanded the case to cover all states and union territories, transferring parallel high court cases to the top court and aiming to create a unified national policy under the Animal Birth Control Rules of 2023. Joining us on the broadcast is Ashwini Dubey, also Mr. Divyam Khera, lawyer at the Supreme Court, Kamna Pandey, former co-op member of AWBI, and Ambika Shukla, an animal welfare activist at PFA, joining us as well. Let me begin with Mr. Ashwini Dubey. Mr. Dubey, your reading and understanding of the court case today.
Yes, Devika, the Supreme Court has on the last occasion directed the states by expanding the order which was covering to Delhi NCR and all these states to file the compliance report with respect to the 2023 prevention of cruelty rules. And 2023 cruelty rules basically talks about the suggestive measures that how the animals, stray animals, should be dealt with, and also provides the guidelines how to deal with the human and stray dogs conflicts without relocating the dogs in an area. And the burden was given to the animal birth control monitoring committees of the states, district and municipality levels. Then the maintenance of stray animals, what should be, and then other issues were widely considered by making the rules. Now, the Supreme Court on the last occasion said that the states should file the compliance report, and here, except few states, none of these states had filed the compliance reports with respect to that. So, Supreme Court took a serious view of that and asked the chief secretaries to remain present on the next date of hearing, and also on the November 3, and also why there was a non-compliance of the court's order. And the court took a serious view, saying that it was widely covered in the newspapers. So, and even after that, the state governments have failed to file it. So, only the West Bengal, Delhi, Telangana has filed the compliance affidavit, and the court has also said that continuous incidents are happening and the image of the country is being shown as down in the eyes of the foreign nations. And the court said that they are also reading the news reports. So now the question here is, since there was an order by the bench led by Justice J.B. Pardiwala to relocate those stray dogs and to put in the shelter homes, then the NGOs and individuals who are the dog lovers, they made an application to the Supreme Court saying that their rights to freely move and the constitutional rights are being being violated, and also they should be treated in a human way, and that is why the Supreme Court three-judge bench took up that issue and asked the MCD and other bodies to relocate the dogs. So let's see what happens tomorrow. But there is a need, because that order has been temporarily, to relocating them had been temporarily stayed. Now the only question is what the states have taken pursuant to that order, what directions, in what letter and spirit have been complied with, that will be provided the next date of hearing. That we will see what would come there. But the moot question is, it's the question between the human lives and stray dogs' lives, because the many children, innocent people, elderly people, they were beaten, they in fact suffered, they died also. That was the reason that Justice J.B. Pardiwala has taken a note of it. So what will happen, matter is sub judice, that we will see at a later stage. As of now, we can say the compliance report has to be submitted by the chief secretaries of various states. Over to you.
All right, let me bring in Divyam Khera into the conversation as well. Divyam Khera, your first thoughts on the hearing today.
Just corroborates the stand what this Honorable Supreme Court had already taken cognizance of the fact in the earlier hearing also, that the situation that we are today, what we are facing throughout the country, is because of the failure of the municipalities throughout the country. Today, by not filing the compliance affidavits, last time during the hearing, the Honorable Supreme Court was pretty clear that they are giving 2 months' time, which is 8 weeks, for the states to comply, to file the compliance reports. Now, out of all the states, only 3 had filed today, and the fact that the others have not just gives a clear picture that they don't even take this matter that seriously. The states don't take this matter seriously. And the Supreme Court was very clear when they said that, you know what, that the situation that we are in today is directly because of the failure of the municipalities. Even when we talk about Delhi, the animal birth control rules 2023, before these, there were animal birth control rules 2001. So the concept of sterilizations in the country have been around for 25 years, but clearly the sterilizations are not being done. Had sterilizations been carried out properly for 25 years, there would be no dogs on the street today. So today is just another example of how seriously the municipalities and the states are taking this issue. And then again, for the failure of the humans, we blame it on the animals, because it's easy to blame on them because they're voiceless.
Okay, all right. Ms. Kamna Pandey with us as well. Kamna Pandey, your thoughts on the case going on before the Supreme Court. It was pretty clear when the earlier hearings took place that there will be no quick solution to a much larger problem of stray dogs, as well as the welfare of residents of colonies. But ultimately, are you hopeful for any sort of a long-term and a nationwide solution to this problem?
Yes, thank you for having me. But I would like to bring out one point, that the 11th August order which came out, the court actually did not have the benefit of any advice by any expert who could actually, so there is no denying that there is a problem. But the problem has to be dissected to find out what is the root cause of the problem. Only then you can arrive at a solution. Otherwise, it will end up becoming counterproductive. Now, since the court did not have the benefit of this advice by experts or any deliberation or discussion on the matter by the two parties, therefore, we saw the order that came. Now that the matter is in court, we are all very hopeful that we will all get the chance to put our points forth, to put our side of the story, which happens to be the side of the voiceless who cannot come to the court, cannot deny whenever the media carries a report. Every time, and increasingly, we are seeing even the courts are quoting that we are reading newspapers, we are seeing the reports, which means the court is also relying on the media reports. Now, media is only carrying a story, not by a committee which has done fact-finding into the matter. It's just reporting hearsay, one side of the story. So I am very hopeful that now that the matter is in court, and now that the benefit which was not there for the court earlier on 11th August will now be there, because I believe HSI has also requested to plead into the matter. They have been carrying out sterilizations, and they also, even in Lucknow, they also go to the place wherever the complaint of a bite per se is coming, and they find out what exactly happened over there. So they will be able to tell whether it was there was a provocation, what happens in most of the cases, how it affects the behavior. Sterilization surgeries can affect the behavior, how the cruelty that happens actually results in bites, and a lot of other points that we all wanted to put forth. We'll get a chance to put them now. So yes, I'm hopeful.
All right. Ambika Shukla with us on the broadcast as well. Ambika Shukla, your perspective on the same. Of course, the case continues before the Supreme Court, and legally it will always be a long drawn battle. But what are you hoping for as far as a solution to it is concerned? Are we hoping for governments to be more proactive? What is the larger expectation here?
Well, I think what the Supreme Court has seen today, lack of compliance and lack of even any kind of participation by various state governments and municipalities is reflective of the general low priority that is given to this issue by the very people who are tasked with dealing with it. And you will see that municipalities all over, they do not regard animals as part of the civic public that needs to be dealt with suitably. They regard them as a nuisance, and they regard them with very low priority. The people delegated by them or deputed by them to this particular issue are class 4 staff who are untrained, unmotivated, uneducated, and uninterested. Now, when you have such people dealing with an issue, what is the result? The ABC program itself is excellent. It's a WHO endorsed program which has been certified as the only sure and scientific way to reduce numbers, curb bites, and eliminate rabies. But you have an excellent program tasked to an organization that gives it no priority at all. No training, no motivation, no education, no nothing. So the program is bound to fail. I have said, and I hold this very strongly, that here in India, we are blessed to have a huge cadre of people who know, work with, and love animals, who are ready to join this effort free. Nobody's asking to be paid, so you will not have to pay extra. So it's a free workforce that knows the subject. You will have zero corruption. You will have 100% efficiency. And I guarantee that if we are given roles, responsibilities, and authority, you will find a 100% success rate. We will deliver 100% sterilization rate and 100% rabies-free India. So this is what how we need to go forward. Stop entrusting it to municipalities who have no interest and no in training and no ability to carry out the program. Entrust it to people. When you have a stomachache, you go to a doctor. When you have a dog issue, come to dog people. We will be able to handle the program.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair point. I want to bring Ashwini Dubey back into the conversation. Ashwini Dubey, very critical point there raised by Ambika Shukla. As far as certain sterilization programs are concerned, this is not new. We're talking at least we're in 2025. So if you're looking at 2001 or between 2001 and 2003, when these programs were initially launched, we're looking at over 2 decades of entrusting municipalities and state governments with the task of controlling not just stray dog population, but there are so many other strays in the country as well, cats and other cattle as well. Why is it that when the conversation comes up to actually bringing the population in control in a humane manner, one begins to villainize the organizations that are doing a lot of this work almost for free of cost for the citizens of the country, right? There are so many organizations that carry out these sterilization drives, that carry out the work of the governments in the municipalities. So why is it that when we're having a nationwide conversation, we don't think along more practical lines and we just want to keep going on and on with the same suggestions of ye municipality karegi, wo municipality karegi?
Its role is widely given in the law, and also it is the domain of the executive to ensure that the rules framed so far as the standardizing the process or any other rule which the objective of which is to create a balance between animal welfare and public safety. Now, 2 important moot questions you have raised. One, that the civil societies which are working for the welfare of the stray animals, why their work is being ignored, number 1. Number 2, why the efforts are not being looked into and ignored. Number 2, if it is so, why people are dying on road? Because this is not my opinion, I'm exactly going with the data which was presented in the parliament, which says, the statistics says that lakhs of people died because of the dog bites. And there is a number of dog bites which the animal rights activists candidly denied Delightfully, they denied. They said, no, it's a wrong data, but that's a data submitted before the Parliament of India, and it's a public domain. It's articles you can just click, and you can find in the Google also. Most of the newspapers, even you have also covered
But
this.
we must, Mr. Dubey, put a caveat there. If any data submitted before the Parliament does not make it necessarily correct or sacred data. It's simply data that's been collected by the government, by particular departments whose job it is to collect that data and then submit it.
So
But
there
go
has
on,
to be a
please.
sacred
Go
data
on, please.
denying
Yes,
that
make-
fact. See,
yes.
admission and denial. Then there has to be a subsequent data submitted by those who claim it to be wrong and fictitious. They should
I'd
submit
like to
that.
reply.
Yes, Amrita Shukla, I'll give you a
I
chance.
must say there is no data available that yes, the database has been submitted by the minister itself in the parliament is wrong, fictitious, vague, and based on the imaginary story. Now, two, the court, Justice Zebi Pardiwala, while going through this, a suo motu petition. He says that we have to see that the children are dying, people are dying, but the order was too harsh. That is why the too harsh. That was the order that three-judge bench started looking into it. Now the suo motu intervention, which kept amid mounting public concern over a series of dog bite incidents, including a death of 6-year-old girl. Now somebody may say that the death reason is not known. But what is candidly reported in the newspaper, from where we also gather information, you also gather information, for some people that may be wrong. The information may be wrong because postmortem report has not been published widely. But that was the reason Justice Zebi Pardiwala raised a concern. Now, two things. To maintain a balance, the objective is to maintain the balance between the human life and the stray animals' welfare. And if it is being looked into in a proper manner by the municipal authorities and which is not harsh, where is the question for those dogs to be relocating to the same place? Now, other thing, you see, your right is not as next to my door. Your right is a designated place. Devika, in your colony in RWA, have you find any designated place which has been given that yes, dogs should be fed here? Of course not.
Can I respond to some of these now?
Yes, I will. I'll come to you in just a moment.
You
Let
know,
him
because
complete
we're
his
just
point.
carrying on and going further and further. Firstly, there are 2-3 things.
Ambika Shukla,
One is
one second. Let him just give him 30 seconds more to complete his point. The first point that he raised was about the data. And secondly,
yeah, I'd like to respond to each one of those.
Yes.
Yeah,
1 second. I'll come to you. Ashwini Dubey, quickly finish your point, please. Ashwini Dubey.
The Supreme Court has noted that Delhi recorded 25,201 dog bite cases in 2024, and its directions were issued by the Supreme Court in a larger interest. So Supreme Court's data was also wrong. Your right, fundamental right, is next to my house. Where is the designated place? What action has been done by the civil society in association with the municipality to control the rabies? That is also to be looked into, because
but my larger point and premise here is that for the past 20 years or so, we've left this job to the municipalities who have miserably failed at it. Miserably failed, and I would say in most cases not even attempted to solve the problem because they don't have the infrastructure, but they have all the money surely in the world. The larger premise is this: if that money were to be given to actually the animal welfare associations that are currently being run privately by individuals, I personally feel that they would probably do a much better job at controlling the stray population. That's a personal opinion right there, although it's not my space to give this personal opinion, but that's the larger point that a lot of people are also making. That listen, we've entrusted the municipalities for over 20 years. It's not that difficult a problem to solve also over many decades. Yes, it's a tough problem to solve in 1 year. If suddenly you're going to wake up and say within 3 months we want all stray dogs removed, all stray cattle removed, dump them into facilities that don't exist, that's when it becomes a problem. But not over 25 years, it should not have been a problem. Ambika Shukla, what are the counterpoints you want to
I'd like to point out 2 or 3 things. Yes, 2 or 3 things. One is that there is no correct data so far, not even a census of dogs. So anybody who talks about dogs, dog bites, and how are dog bites collated, again, they are counted all wrong because they are counted as per rabies vials. Now, 1 vial is counted as 1 bite, when everybody knows that 1 bite needs 5 vials. So firstly, you divide the figure by 5. Secondly, in a country of 1.5 billion people, you please understand that the rabies facts, and this is the parliamentary reply of the minister, which this gentleman is quoting, says there are 56. We have come down from 20,000 to just 56 in the whole country of rabies deaths. So please understand, we are very much on the decline and we are very close to being rabies free. Delhi has not had a rabies case in the last 3 years. So we have had many, many successes. Sikkim is rabies free. Goa is officially rabies free. Parts of Rajasthan are rabies free. So we are very close to being rabies free. So the big hype that is being created is firstly hugely exaggerated. Secondly, the sterilizations that you're talking about, these are conducted solely by feeders on their own time and effort. The municipalities do very little, except that feeders are not given any roles, they are not given any responsibilities, and they are not given any authority. In most cases, they are victimized and terrorized by RWAs who will not allow them to feed, will not allow them to tend to dogs, nothing, in spite of the laws. These are, they are beaten up, they are abused, they are, I mean, we don't do this with any other social workers. People who work for cancer victims, people who work for the physically challenged, they are supported and applauded. People who work for needy animals are instead abused and suspected, and there is no choice between human welfare and animal welfare. Both of them go hand in hand. When you have a kind society, when you have a society that is kind to dogs, those dogs never bite anybody because they are used to kindness and they trust humans. It is only societies which are cruel to dogs, who instruct guards to beat, chase, relocate dogs, where you will find dogs who are nervous and who react in self-defense. So kindness goes together. It's kindness to humans and kindness to animals, and one produces the next. When you are kind to animals, animals do not trouble human beings, so you are kind to humans.
Okay, all
so
right.
please, it is not a competitive concern, it is a collaborative concern, and it is a complementary concern.
Okay.
Being good to animals helps human society. Animal welfare is
Okay, okay. I'm going to come to Kamna Pandey as well, but largely, I think we all agree on the very basic premise that we want peaceful coexistence where possible, and where there are now cases of dogs or other stray animals, for whatever reason, if they've become ferocious or aggressive and they are in a way hampering daily activities and lives of people in certain colonies and communities, that those dogs should be then either removed from that place and in a humane manner be put in some sort of a shelter home. I think largely everybody does agree with the premise that we at no point in time want the stray dog population to keep increasing. There's no reason why anyone will disagree with that, right? Ultimately, everyone's goal is the same, that let's try to control the population, and then of course with some of the dogs and cats and other stray animals that are there, they holistically become a part of a larger community as well. All of us live in colonies where stray dogs are there, where stray cats are there, and we go on about with our lives. But yes, there are cases where, for whatever reason it may be, the animal has become aggressive and the animal is becoming a hindrance to the daily life of people living in that area. And that's where the collaborative approach really needs to come in, where municipalities genuinely now need to work with people, with organizations that have been doing their job for years. Kamna Pandey, let me bring you in on that note as well. You had your hand up, you wanted to make some points, but I just want to understand from you, why are we so closed off towards a very unique and India-centric solution to this problem of stray animals on our streets?
First of all, I'll just take a small deviation. Ashwini sir said that there are lakhs of people dying, and this is the data presented in the parliament. That is not true. I have the PIB data over here. The PIB data says 21 for 2022, 50 for 2023, 54 for 2024, and 1 for 2025. So it is nowhere near lakhs. Second thing, when we talk of taking data from media report, very recently a man who was reported to have died because the monkeys attacked him. Later turned out the same media house reported that actually it was a suicide case because he had written some note and whatever. So media reports alone cannot be relied on. Third is, I think, a larger point that I wanted to make. Bites and rabies are two separate problems that have been clubbed together. Bite is coming from a behavioral, psychological, treatable, and reversible problem, which, when the circumstances which are making the dog fearful and defensive and aggressive, once they are reversed, the behavior changes. We've seen this all across India. It is there in the form of researches, numerous of them. Rabies, on the other hand, is a medical problem. Once the dog contracts rabies, it is irreversible and fatal for the dog. Both have to be treated very differently. The solution is different. We club them and then we say, see, these people have died. And we hold responsible the entire dog population for a certain death that has happened due to rabies. Even when a death has happened which has been by doctors announced as rabies, let me just, for the benefit of your viewers, tell that rabies can be 100% confirmed by a test, lab confirmation called DFAT test. That is not carried out. The brain sample is sent and it is confirmed that beyond doubt that this death has happened due to rabies. There are several other diseases, neurotoxic diseases like even tetanus. You know, when in the last stages of tetanus, you have to sometimes chain the person because there are such violent spasms that happen in the body. If you look at that person, let us say if it is happening, say somewhere in Sultanpur or somewhere, you know, the doctor is going to declare this is rabies because he's not going to be able to swallow. There is swelling here. The symptoms are exactly the same. And there is no test for confirmation of tetanus. Even till date, there is no confirmation test of tetanus, death due to tetanus. So yes, it does exist for rabies. How many of the cases that are quoted even in the PIB data, how many of them, I would like to ask, are tested, confirmed by lab? None of them. How are we so sure just by symptomatically seeing, attributing it to dogs who cannot come to their defense? Now, we have to also understand in all other cases, even if media is reporting something wrong, somewhere that person is going to find out and is going to contest that, see, the version you have written or run in your report is wrong. This is not what happened. The dog cannot do that. That is why it is imperative that some sort of guideline from the court is required, that any death that is to be attributed to rabies, whether human or animal, has to be confirmed by lab testing, number one. Number two, the media responsibility in reporting something where the other party cannot defend itself has to be all the more higher than all the regular cases.
Yes.
Unverified, unsubstantiated, uninvestigated should not be run, and both sides should always be given. So many times I have taken to the Press Council of India, I have taken the media house to Press Council of India and got proven wrong. And what happened is that they end up giving the retraction in a very small, 2-line thing on the 5th page, whereas the other news was carried on the first page in 5 columns. So we are up against a whole lot of people who do not understand the sensitivity that एक डॉग की बात आप जब बोलते हो तो उसके लिए हजारों डॉग्स को मारा जाता है, पीटा जाता है, which starts that vicious cycle. आप डॉग को मारोगे, डॉग में फियर आएगा, फियर से वो डिफेंसिव होगा, डिफेंसिव से बाइट्स आएंगी, starts with the vicious cycle. And once that a bite happens, it's going to feed the perception and increase the cruelty. It's a vicious cycle we have to break somewhere.
Okay, all right. On that note, I've run out of time, but I thank all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast to take this conversation forward. With that, a very short break.